Good evening, dear televiewers, and thank you for tuning on to DBS Television for this edition of the newscast, which we begin with our top stories, which are our headlines. As Cameroon faces Morocco this Wednesday in CHAN 2021 semi-finals, Cameroonians are quite skeptical about the ability of Cameroon to qualify for the finals, opinions which we have sampled and share with you in this edition of the newscast. Bilingualism Week and its activities continue to be launched across the national territory, and this time it is the turn of the East region of Cameroon. And lastly, for the titles, we share with you how traders in Marché Mvokbi in the town of Yaoundé carry out their activities, which we commonly refer to as Bayam Selam. These are the titles we have for this headline, and the details will follow in a moment when we return. Stay with us. Good evening once again, and thank you for joining us for this edition of the newscast on DBS Television. For presentation, I am Cynthia Ngwemo. The National Week of Bilingualism has been launched all over the national territory, and this time around in the East region, pupils and students gathered at the Government High School of Mokolo to launch the activities for this week. Vanessa Shuyong in this report says that the activities were filled with a lot of fun, which is aimed, of course, to encourage resilient, qualitative and inclusive education throughout Cameroon. Let's get her report.
Resilient, qualitative, inclusive education.
This is to mark activities officially launching Bilingualism Week in the East region of Cameroon. The theme highlighted in the song provides solutions to learners who face difficulties in some educational fields.
Our school system, our education should be able, using bilingualism, to permit students to be able to face any type of difficulty, both in the school milieu and out of the school milieu.
The 16th edition saw the massive gatherings of pupils and students in the government school of Mokolo Bedwa to launch the week's activities with singing, dancing, sketches and poems to school Cameroonians on the importance of being bilingual, that is, speaking English and French as the official working languages of the country.
This one said that the government gave people a work that people can have a job opportunity to work in his company. So he promised the job. This what the people were saying, that's stupid that we are there, it makes sense. Yes. What I'm saying. Well, please. Because we are not bilingual. We can't have time.
Being bilingual is an asset as it facilitates communication and social integration, something the pupils and students of Bedwa are conscious of.
Bilingualism is good for me because when you are bilingual, you are a bilingual student, you can do all the things that you want. You can communicate with people in English or in French.
C'est bon d'être bilingue parce que partout on ne va pas seulement parler français, on va aussi parler anglais. Et là on va arriver, tu ne peux pas peut-être arriver dans une ville comme à Bamenda. Tu ne vas pas seulement parler le français, on va aussi t'apprendre à parler anglais.
Even the principals of some major colleges say speaking English and French remains a duty and not an obligation.
I must motivate my students, my colleagues, and all the personnel of my school to do it. I'm not so fine in English, but I think that if I set to obey to the recommendation or the instruction of my hierarchy, I must do better.
The activities of the Bilingualism Week will run till February 5, paving way to the National Youth Day celebration.
Basic education officials have been meeting in Yaoundé for midterm evaluations of the 2020-2021 school year. Holding under the auspices of the minister, the meeting is aimed at evaluating the level of respect for COVID-19 barrier measures, as well as the preparedness for upcoming official examinations, including the sporting events to be organized by the ministry within the year. Ate Benaventure from Yaoundé completes that story.
The 2020-2021 school year unfolded within the context of the COVID-19 threat that imposed a new mode of operation. This consultation meeting has as aim the evaluation of the level of implementation of laid down objectives.
The principal axis that will be treated in this meeting is looking at the level of our education, insisting that we continue to give quality and inclusive education, and our resilience at a time when COVID-19 is still at its highest peak. So our interest is to ensure that the kids continue to stay out of the COVID infection.
Through workshops and debates, the directors and inspectors are examining innovations in the 2021 financial law, updates on registrations for the 2021 exams and competitive entrance, as well as states of exams-related payment arrears.
We also will be looking at inclusive education and distance education, for that matter, which is the in thing now. With what is going on around the world, we need to have our children learn to study from a distance. And so the Inspector General of Education will be handling that subject. We are also hopeful that the FENASCO League B games may take place this year. And if the President grants us that permission, we need to know how prepared we are.
Resolutions at the end of the meeting shall be used as guide for a better planification and implementation of the new National Basic Education Policy.
Former students of Government Technical College, today known as Government Technical High School Ndop, in the Northwest region have stretched a hand of fellowship to internally displaced people now living in Douala. With words of comfort and assurance for a better future, they sought to assure these people that they have not been forgotten by their own people. Mange Venasius completes that story with the following report.
In search of internally displaced persons living in the nooks and crannies of the city of Douala, the ex-student of GTC GTHS Ndop in the Northwest region of Cameroon put smiles on the faces of these victims of the ongoing crisis in the Northwest and Southwest regions, being taken care of by a man of goodwill, Chief Dr. Joseph Mofo, over the weekend. Like the Bible says, neither gold nor silver did they have, but their widow's might was strong enough to assure these children and the caregiver of something to eat. The alumni reminded them that they will one day go back to their homes if only they have faith in God.
We have not come here because we have so much. We have come here because we want to play with you, want to talk with you, and want to greet you people. That you are not left alone. God is on your side. No matter the situation life people are going through, God has the final say. You should people to have hope that one day we'll go back to our various destination. We'll go back where we come from. We will not remain here. We will not stay in a house, 10 of us, 20 of us in a particular room. You will go back one day if you believe that God can answer your prayers.
On behalf of these IDPs, Chief Dr. Joseph Mofo appreciated the initiative that shows that they are all looking at the same direction.
Thank you very much for your presence here today. Your presence in the midst of this IDP from the Northwest and Southwest is a testimonial that will show common convictions and common idea about the future of this IDP. I therefore mean about togetherness, peace, love, and God guidance, as you have mentioned in your prayer.
A structure that received 371 adults and more than 200 children with enormous challenges.
This, like medicines, foodstuffs, clothing, educations, but the key part in it is medicines and foodstuffs. Because if you cannot eat, that's even the first medicine. is food. You cannot even think of school.
With a mission of providing relief aid to the IDPs from the Northwest and Southwest regions, and especially to reduce pain and suffering in fellow human beings, this could be perceived from the atmosphere that followed the visit of these GTC, GTHS Ndop alumni.
And in our feature page tonight, as we told you in our headlines, we take you to Yaoundé to discover the activities of food retailers who are commonly called Bayam Selam in Marché Mvongbi. Our Center Regional Correspondent Ate Bonaventure has been talking to some of them, and now he tells us that these women go through a lot of sacrifices in order to ensure the well-being of the people in the town of Yaoundé. Let's get his report.
4 a.m. in Yaoundé, and Marché Mvongbi is as busy as a beehive. Locally called Bayam Selam, these retailers have been here since 3 a.m. to wait for the arrival of vehicles loaded with foodstuff from rural localities such as Mfu, Kolmeyang, Obala, Ezeka, and Makat.
I am Abdullah Bello. I'm working tomat from Ikali. Then if I work, I come and sell for market for price of 8,000 or 7,500.
The farmers, after harvest, negotiate with transporters who bargain their transport fare depending on the distance and the nature of roads.
I sell palm nuts, plantains, cocoyams, and any other food stuff that comes my way. The business is sometimes slow, and we may end up not selling anything.
This market receives tons of plantains, tubers, fruits, vegetables on a daily basis. The activity is not void of risk, as some of the women get assaulted.
It's very risky to get up very early in the morning at 4 o'clock. It may be sometimes you can take a bike and someone can even take you to the quarter and take your money.
Despite all odds, their determination to support their families financially and guarantee food security in the city drives them through.
Following his presence in the East region of Cameroon, it was a hilarious welcome for Samuel Eto'o Fils as he visited the town of Bertoua. He was received by the governor at his office, where the governor presented photos of former administrators, and from where he moved to the city council. It was an opportunity for the city mayor to present some problems faced by youths linked to football in the region. He later made a stop in the school that was the government bilingual high school Bertoua, where he encouraged students to be patient in their studies. Samuel Eto'o's visit later ended with the officials of the divisional football leagues of the East region. This happened behind closed doors. Now we open the sports page as the countdown of the semi-finals for CHAN 2021 competition in Cameroon is just a few hours away. In the following report, Mange Venasius gives us a revisit of the teams that have qualified and when and where the matches would be played. Let's get his report.
The CHAN 2020 competition has moved to another level, with 4 teams out of the 16 at the beginning qualifying for the semi-finals. In a match played at the Amadou Ahidjo Stadium in Yaoundé on Saturday, January 30th, 2021, Mali was the first to qualify after defeating Congo 5-4 in post-penalty shootout after the two teams ended the normal 90 minutes with a goalless draw. Host country Cameroon won their ticket to the semi-finals the same day as the Indomitable Lions beat the Leopard of the Democratic Republic of Congo 2-1 on Saturday night. The iconic victory at the Japuma Stadium in Douala saw all the goals of the match scored in the first half of the game, to the delight of Cameroonian supporters. African Championship defenders Morocco also swept Zambia out of the competition with a 3-1 victory, making their way into the semi-finals on Sunday. Last to qualify was Guinea, who eliminated Rwanda from the 2020 CHAN after a 1-0 win, joining the 3 other teams. The semi-finals would be played on Wednesday, February 3rd, 2021, when Cameroon would confront Morocco at the Limbe Omnisport Stadium at 8 p.m. local time, after Mali would have met Guinea at the Amadou Ahidjo Stadium in Yaoundé at 4 p.m. Cameroon time.
CHAN 2021 host Cameroon will face another uphill task as they prepare to face Morocco, who are the defending champions, for semi-finals of the competition this Wednesday. Our correspondent in Yaoundé, Ate Bonaventure, talked to some Cameroonians who are football supporters, and they expressed a lot of doubt, or rather mixed feelings, concerning the ability of Cameroonians to qualify for the final stage of the competition. Let's get his report.
A tenté sa chance de loin, et il a été parfaitement récompensé.
After rekindling hope in their fans by beating dreaded DR Congo, host Cameroon faces title holders Morocco in an epic semi-final cracker in Limbe. Supporters of the Intermediate Lions are upbeat that their team will impose supremacy over the Atlas Lions. Dressed in the Lions color, this supporter believes that Cameroon is going to win by 3-0. These other citizens believe that from Cameroon's last performance, the team is going to carry the day. Cameroon reached last 4 after coming back from a goal down to defeat one of the title favorites last Saturday, while Morocco continued their quest to successfully defend their title with a convincing 3-1 win against Zambia. Some tongues have been wagging on the chances of the boys of coach Ntungumpile.
I wish that Cameroon will win tomorrow, but it's going to be difficult because Morocco is a stronger team. In the African competitions, Moroccan's teams always do better than Cameroonian's team do.
The first semi-final showdown will be between the Eagles of Mali and the Sili National of Guinea at the Japuma Sports Complex in Douala.
Now we move on to news out of Cameroon, beginning in Uganda, where lawyers of opposition candidate Bobi Wine have filed a petition to the Supreme Court seeking the annulment of President Yoweri Museveni's victory in last month's election, as he claims the poll was rigged. He says the election should be cancelled and re-elected. In the January 14 election, President Museveni won 59% of the vote, and Robert Kyagulanyi, aka Bobi Wine, came second with 35%, as announced by the National Electoral Commission on January 16. Under the Constitution of Uganda, Wine had 15 days from the declaration of the result to challenge the outcome. The Supreme Court now must rule the petition within 45 days. In the past 5 terms of President Museveni's 35-year rule, losing candidates have unsuccessfully sought to overturn his victory in the court. In South Africa, the first doses of COVID-19 vaccines have arrived in the country amid a sharp increase in the number of cases and as well of a new variant. President Cyril Ramaphosa hailed the arrival on Monday, seeing it as a chance to turn the tide on a disease that has devastated the country. The 1 million AstraZeneca vaccines are expected to be used to vaccinate frontline health workers beginning from mid-February. The doses arrived at the OR Tambo International Airport on Monday afternoon, transported by an Emirates flight. After President Ramaphosa inspected the shipment, trucks carried it away to the laboratories of the South African National Medicines Regulator, where vaccines will undergo further efficacy tests before being deployed. Take note that South Africa is the worst hit African country by coronavirus pandemic, with over 1.4 million infections and over 44,000 deaths. The South African government intends to vaccinate 40 million people by the end of the year, representing 67% of the country's total population of over 60 million people. With that story, we have come to the end of this Tuesday edition of the news on DBS Television. Thank you for watching, and do well to keep watching DBS Television while we wait to see you again tomorrow. For now, good night and have a blessed evening.